All right, let's dive right into this explainer of a fascinating text called Why Clouds Don't Break. Today, we're going to explore this really incredible intersection where ancient biblical texts meet the physical forces that literally surround us every single day. We're going to visualize concepts that are quite literally pressing down on us right now, exploring the sheer weight, pressure, and carefully balanced elements of our natural world as described by the author.
So the source kicks things off with this amazing, thought-provoking question. How exactly does a cloud hold millions of tons of water without just breaking apart? It's something we barely even pause to consider when we look up at a cloudy sky. The author really challenges us to think about how this immense, staggering weight manages to stay entirely suspended right above our heads without just crashing down all at once.
Section 1. Why Clouds Never Break. Let's look at all that suspended water.
The author roots this whole idea in a specific historical passage from the ancient book of Job, chapter 26, verse 8. It reads, "He bindeth up the waters in his thick clouds, and the cloud is not rent under them." The source points out how wildly accurate this ancient text is in describing the phenomenon. The word rent here basically means breaking or tearing. So the passage describes a physical reality where the cloud just does not break, even under a truly massive amount of weight.
And when the author says massive weight, they mean it. The weight is absolutely staggering, over 1 million tons. The text emphasizes the clouds are drawing up literally millions of tons of water from the oceans right into the atmosphere. Just picture that for a second. The sheer mass of millions of tons of liquid water softly floating right above your city. So the crucial question is, how does all this water actually fall back down to Earth safely? Well, the author explains it's due to a highly specific designed process. Ocean water evaporates, the clouds manage to hold this immense weight, and then, here's the key, a process of gradual cooling kicks in. This gradual cooling is what releases the water little by little as rain, perfectly irrigating the surface of the Earth instead of just destroying it. And the text argues this gradual cooling process was revealed to Job long before the dawn of modern meteorology. Moving on to Section 2, Life in the Deep Sea. Let's explore extreme ocean pressure. The text makes this fundamental observation: water is incredibly heavy. And because of that immense weight, pressure increases dramatically the deeper down you go. The weight of all that water compounding on top of itself creates a completely extreme environment at the ocean floor. Yet, crazy enough, life exists down there. According to the source, God engineered deep-sea fish specifically to withstand this tremendous pressure. These creatures have so much built-in internal pressure packed into their muscular structures just to counteract the outside weight that if they are brought up to the surface too quickly, they practically explode. Their internal pressure is still pushing out, but that heavy external ocean pressure is suddenly gone. Which brings us to Section 3, our heavy atmospheric sea, because it turns out extreme pressure really isn't just a deep-sea problem. The author draws a really powerful analogy here. Just as the deep ocean is to those specialized deep-sea fish, the atmosphere is to us. The text argues that we are actually living at the very bottom of a dense, heavy, atmospheric sea. We might not feel like we're at the bottom of an ocean, but physically speaking, we are literally buried beneath a massive ocean of air. To put a number on that, the source provides this exact measurement: 14 pounds per square inch. Every single moment you're alive, walking around, sitting down, or sleeping, a pressure of 14 pounds per square inch is constantly exerted upon your body structure from every possible direction. To really wrap your head around that, the source contrasts an incredible feat of human strength, the strongest man putting 415 pounds over his head, with our daily reality. Because of that 14 pounds per square inch, every single person, whether it's a 90-pound woman or a giant burly man, is constantly withstanding over 15 tons. That is 30,000 pounds of atmospheric pressure. You are supporting 30,000 pounds right now just by existing at sea level. Suddenly feeling a little heavy and exhausted at the end of the workday makes a whole lot of sense, right? And it gets even more amazing when you look at the smallest creatures. The author notes that even filmy, gauzy insects, like a tiny gnat that seems completely fragile and crushable by a slight breeze, have been designed by God to withstand their proportion of this immense atmospheric weight without being crushed. They, too, are perfectly engineered little pressure vessels for their size. All right, Section 4, the weight of the wind. Let's look closer at the physical properties of the air itself. To support this, the source brings in another ancient passage, Job 28:25, which states directly,
to make the weight for the winds, and he weigheth the waters by measure. The author uses this text to highlight a scientific truth that was stated thousands of years ago. The wind and the air itself actually has measurable weight. Air is heavy.
The text then asks a highly practical question that many of you might have experienced. If we are so perfectly adapted to this heavy air at the bottom of our atmospheric sea, why do we feel so distressed, out of breath, and uncomfortable when we climb up a high mountain?
Well, the source answers that question by contrasting the two environments. Down at sea level, your internal pressure perfectly balances the heavy external pressure. But as you climb higher up a mountain, the atmosphere becomes thinner and that external pressure drops. This upsets the perfect pressure God built inside of us. The author points out that this makes us feel just as stressed out and uncomfortable as that deep sea fish when it gets brought up to the surface. Our internal pressure is pushing out against a suddenly much lighter atmosphere.
Bringing it all together, the source concludes that this intricate balance is definitely no mere chance. Rather, the text asserts it is wonderful design by God, where each living creature, from the deepest fish in the ocean to the tiny gnat in the sky, to you and me walking around at sea level, is uniquely engineered to be perfectly comfortable and perfectly balanced in its own specific, highly pressurized environment.
So, as you move through the rest of your day, I want to leave you with this final thought based on the author's insights. Consider the unseen forces all around you. How much massive weight from your atmospheric sea is pressing onto you right this second, perfectly countered by your biology, without you even noticing? It really changes how you feel about the air you're breathing, doesn't it?